in the middle of doing something on Duolingo too. So, but sometimes the time of day, because there's so much stuff in the atmosphere, or whatever. Because it's a Wi-Fi, like it's a wireless internet too. So, um, what was I talking about? The city of Quincy with the hotspot, Man at Health. I got to try to remember to ask my therapist if I can get a hotspot for my telehealth appointments. I'm having all kinds of problems with my phone. Keeps telling me my storage is full. I'm out of data. None of that's true. I'm not paying you more money. I'm destitute. Uh, right. I qualify for a free governmental phone for a reason. So just trying to nickel and dime the destitute. Pretty bad. Some people fly into a rage over the quote unquote Obama phones. It's all part of the Holocaust. Like, just to reiterate, you clearly are people new to having any type of means at all. I'm 54, not four. I never cared that people were on welfare. Right? Even when the Section 8s and they could live in houses and stuff, I never cared. You just aspire to have more. So now you're at the point where you don't even think we should live. It's not even about SNAP food cards and soda and basic incomes and adequate shelters and campgrounds. It has to do, you don't even want us to live. Just enough of the nonsense. You don't want tents. You don't want us on campgrounds. You don't want us tenting somewhere where you can't even see us. You don't want us in housing. You don't want us to have SNAP food. You don't want us to have an income. You don't want us to have a phone. You don't want us to have a mailing address. Like, really. You don't want us to have dental cleanings, medical care, color our hair, children, spouses. Um, you're just murderously insane. Something happened because you maybe felt like that happened to you when you didn't have means and your reduced capacity. So now you're projecting like your thoughts and ideas about how other people treated you when they didn't because you have a misconception because of your reduced capacity. And then you're doing that to us. Like that's a thing that you do. And it's not. Nobody ever treated you like this. We're not experiencing what you experienced. Like we were just happy to not be on welfare ourselves. Exactly. Because there's so many regulations with it and you want to feel like you're productive and you're doing something. It just wasn't something we aspired to do. It's something that befalls people for a while sometimes, or if you're disabled, but you didn't aspire to just defraud and sneak around and get everything for nothing and stuff and then spit upon other people that aren't doing that, or the government won't give us the stuff. We weren't doing that. Never in a day was I living in a house and going to grocery stores and using food pantries. I've never been on WIC. Yeah, just you don't lie. You just don't do it. We're the dumb heads that don't do that. So anyway, I think someone just tried to help me get a Facebook page. It ain't gonna work. Someone did it once, and I think that they were the certain people that could do it. That Facebook lasted for about 2 years until they shut that down and said 6 months I can't use it. Um, it's all part of treason and crimes against humanity and holding me hostage. Like you've done all these criminal acts to me, and then you refuse to allow me to explain to people my grievance. So it's really that seriously bad, and it gets annoying when people just. It's not like I expect people to do all this stuff and give me all this attention. So that is top. It's part of crimes against humanity. Look it up.
I bet you it's probably done.
I'll check it in a minute, babe. What is it?
About 34.
Yeah, maybe wasn't it 5 when I? That was 30 minutes. Wow. Well, this reiterates what I was saying about the internet being weird. Because sometimes it takes 8 minutes and sometimes it takes an hour. Yeah, so I think that that's, and plus clearly we were both trying to use the hotspot. I'm gonna leave this here. Well, okay.
I'm gonna fall asleep though. I'm like not tired. My body's tired. Yeah, that's right.
Um, are you like wanting me to cook dinner or
Yeah,
it's 5:30?
yeah.
We didn't gather any wood.
For some reason, Dorothy. Yeah.
Is there a time you want me to wake you up or just if you fall asleep? What time do you want me to wake you up? Okay. It shouldn't have stopped at all. All I did was put the phone down. It shouldn't have stopped at all. But anyway, I'm not even going to get into it. Well, he has a brain injury. Right. They explained it all to me at the hospital. His brain actually gets tired. It's not even really so much about the walking. What, babe?
I left the cigarette stuff out there.
Okay, thank you.
No, I didn't mean the bathroom.
Oh, do you want me to bring it over?
You don't have to.
No, I can. That's fine. I'm just asking you. So, like I said, his brain actually gets tired when you have a brain injury. Yeah, like some people still don't get it. Even when I talk to Social Security, they said, "Oh, he had brain surgery." I'm like, "Yes, he had brain surgery." Yep.
Yeah, surgery on my brain.
Someone attacked him, hit him in the head with the hammer, and he had brain surgery. That would be why he has like his head shaved and a scar where they surgeried his brain. Yes, and he has his right side affected. Like when a person has a stroke, if you've ever heard of that, because he was damaged on the left side of his brain, it's his right side of his body. So it takes up to a year for your brain to heal from something like that. So he cannot lift anything. He can't bend over because you know how when you are really congested from a cold and you bend over, and that's why he's supposed to remember not to bend his head over, like to like squat down, right? So then he had pneumonia. He was in a coma for 8 days. Then he got this C. diff thing from the medication for the pneumonia, and it's quite disgusting. And you have to be isolated. Okay. He was in ICU on the brain ward at Mass General, and then he was in on the brain ward out of ICU in Mass General, and then he went to Spalding Rehabilitation Center on the brain injury ward. It'll be all in his medical records, not just he fell off a bicycle and hit his head or something. Like, Jesus Christ. And right, and then some people decided that was time to play games with us about an apartment because it's Orleans. Get it? No, I don't. So, anyways, Yeah, I'm sure physically doing a lot of walking too, but he's not supposed to lift anything more than 10 pounds. And he's not supposed to bend over. He has to be this accessible bathroom because it has a bench in it. Right. He's not supposed to just put his clothes on like that. He's supposed to sit. I watched him almost fall over at the hospital because it's part of it's part of brain injury. Because your rest of your brain doesn't understand why you have to do all that, and you have to keep telling them. Because you balance, they can all of a sudden lose their balance. He gets dizzy, and he has to like stop and sort of like yeah. So right, it's sort of like not only just the brain, but because he's right side affected, like he could all of a sudden just because it's all like your neurons connecting to your nerves and your muscles to move. Right. So, anyways, it's not fair. Just the other stuff with carnival. I don't know why I just thought of that. Just carnivals, it's because of all the blocking and censorship. Carnival's done with all this ghetto stuff. Get it? Jewish ghettos? Holy mother of God. Yeah, what's it like 5:30? I haven't eaten yet because I was like, should we just have something that doesn't have I've never do this. No, should we just have something that doesn't have to cook and then yeah. But once I start doing it, it's fine. It's just one of those things because I'm pretty sure I don't have enough wood over there to cook chicken. So this place isn't well, no, I found a place where there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna have to walk over there before it gets dark. The wood here doesn't burn good, and I think it has something to do with these pits. It's not like a fireplace, so the air doesn't get in there. Air feeds a fire. So and you can't like sit in front of the thing. It's a big circle. You can't sit in front of it like a fireplace and stuff and do marshmallows and get warm from it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of these things at all. And when we walked around this loop, I'm pretty sure every campsite has them. I don't know if it's different over there. No, I don't remember this stuff when I was camping here with Tom and Barbara. No. The other campgrounds, that's the disabled sites have that. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, is this whole loop? We got something or a shadow? This whole loop. Yeah. I think it's a squirrel. There's always squirrels around here. I'm pretty sure that's unless it's just no. It might just be the light. But I saw them one morning. There's a whole bunch of them, it's like 4 or 5 squirrels in a pack. I still question if that was a squirrel that ate the fig Newtons, though. They've got to be pretty agile um, and dainty squirrels that just pulled the wrapper out for the other fig Newtons that were empty. Pulled it out. It's just clear plastic, but they can smell apparently. Pulled it out and it was on the ground. And they pulled out an ear of corn and left it on the ground. They had wanted nothing to do with that. They took them right out of the package. It was like a plastic thing with the plastic sleeve that Brian left like 3 of them in there. And they just pulled them all out and ate them. There wasn't any crumbs. The plastic wasn't torn apart or moved. That's why I was figuring it was probably a raccoon. Love raccoons. Oh yeah, I haven't live streamed. When I was at Harold Parker in April, I was sitting like out and just there was no fire or nothing, right? I was probably waiting for the fire to die down, and I had left a bunch of hot dogs in the grill one because now they have the fire pits and the grill. That's like the new thing with camping. They didn't have that when I was a kid, but one's supposed to be for charcoal, I think, and then it's the one for the regular pit for fire. I never use these. Nope, never use these. Ever, ever do I use that. I haven't used one yet. Am I not getting it? I haven't used one of those yet. I don't use charcoal. Nope. I use wood. So it's like a carcinogen. It's got chemicals on. It's like you're burning a piece of coal and you pour all that lighter fluid. No, I don't want that on my food. Yeah, I want a fire with wood. So, anyways, you do what you want to do. I'm not mad about it. Just I'm explaining why I don't use those. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, and Brian had given me his portable charger because it has a flashlight on it. And I think I see something, so I hit the flashlight. The biggest raccoon I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like not even sure it was a raccoon, and it just looked at me like it was angry. I go, "Whoa, it's way too early for that," and then it left. And then I actually felt bad after because it never came back and got the hot dogs. Like it was just like I'm never going back there. Like, oh no, I guess I'm not supposed to eat them. It wasn't that. Yeah, I felt bad because that's why it came. There was hot dogs in the thing. There's some guy that has videos all over YouTube where he's feeding raccoons hot dogs. He said they love them. I'm sure they're probably not good for them, but he doesn't want them to starve. I throw sometimes peanuts out if I see a chipmunk. Sometimes squirrels, but in particular chipmunk. If I see a chipmunk, because I don't have any of the unshelled, that's what they're looking for. If you're just like sitting, especially if they think you're tanning or whatever, they're looking for those unshelled peanuts. Not, don't give them a million of them. You just throw a couple like you're being friendly. You don't have to give them a whole jar. Remember that one where the woman kept feeding them to them? The chipmunks just being nice by taking them at that point, like you're an Italian grandmother, and then they're just spitting them out over there. There's no way they're eating all that. Yeah, they're not really coming around because of that, but it's sort of like a thing. And then if you have like any ice cubes or a piece of fruit, that's what they're looking for. They have no way to get ice out here. Could you imagine an animal that small and it's hot out and there's like a piece of ice? Yeah, that must be like a complete luxury. Like, what is this? Um, They could, if they could carry one cube back to those little holes they make, they'd probably just be in air conditioning for the whole summer. Now I do. I haven't seen a chipmunk here. I know it's squirrels here. Um, they have chipmunks at Pearl Hill and Wampatuck. Uh, I'm sure they must have a chipmunk somewhere in this park. I'm just saying I haven't seen one here. And I saw a deer at Wampatuck like 3 times. Yeah, that's new for me. I'm seeing deer when I'm camping. Yeah, that was like super cool. Um, they have owls. There might be an owl here. They definitely have an owl at Wampatuck. I don't remember hearing that. They have coyotes at Pearl Hill. Last night I thought I might have heard a coyote, but there are so many dogs in this campground. It's like insane. It's just like that Egyptian thing. It's insane how many dogs are walking around this place. Just I don't know. It's just a dog park. But is this a? Remember that commercial? Is this a workaround or a restaurant? Is this a campground or a dog park? Long history of not really caring for domesticated dogs for a reason. You know, you have just those big ones that are extensions to your arm, and they hunt people, and they bark, and they hate other animals, and you let them hunt like bunnies and stuff on the ground and foxes. You think that's cool? And they're always begging for food and drooling and stuff, and like some of you feed them right from your hand and stuff. It's like gross to me, but anyways, some dogs are cute. Some people are really good dog owners, and most people are not. Either one of those things. Yes, most people are not cute and they're not good dog owners. That was a lot of. I got this thing. I guess I could check the news and then see if that sparks anything to talk about while I'm avoiding having to get up and start a fire. That's all you got to do. You start a fire and then you put everything in tinfoil and plop it on the thing, and then you turn it once in a while. It's really not difficult. No. If I was gonna camp like long term, obviously I'd probably have pots and pans, yes, but I just use tinfoil for everything. I cooked eggs in tinfoil because at Wampatuck someone gave us a stick of butter and then someone gave us 8 eggs. So I made a little thing with tinfoil and put butter and eggs in it and cooked it. Yeah, and then the next time I made eggs and steak right next to each other on tinfoil. Yep, just I make my own dish. I'm not paying $6 for one of those tinfoil pans. And when you're cooking on a fire, it all has to get thrown away anyway. That's the bad thing about. Someone told me if you put soap at the bottom of it that it will wash off. But you go, is any of that soap going to get in my food though? Like I get what you're saying, but right. So I don't know. It's not a Coleman stove; it's a campfire. But I guess you wouldn't care if you were camping long time because long term, you wouldn't just put the pans back in your tent. Yeah, like a cast iron one. They had a cast iron at the Salvation Army thing I was just at. Too heavy. Yeah, too heavy. But yeah, that would have been awesome. Cooking burgers in that on the fire and potatoes and onions and stuff and peppers and sausages. That would be worth having a cast iron pan. What was the other thing? They had luggage that Brian and I both need, but we're like, how are we going to get this all back to our storage? Yeah, because where we are, all you get is a Goodwill and the stuff is disgusting. No one should be selling that to anybody and it's overpriced. Yeah, that's a really good store, that Salvation Army store that people probably go to that are hoarders and don't need any of that stuff, and then people like me can't get it. That's what happens. That is what happens. Yep. People have houses, people have vehicles, people have so much spending money, and then they gobble stuff up, and then people that are actually poor can't get it. That is exactly what happens. And you see the stuff on the side of the road, furniture, this and that. We can't do anything with that. We don't have housing. We can't do anything with that. It's not even about carrying it. It's just to what? What do we carry it to? Yeah, just that's why it's done, but it's a primate thing too, where you get no benefits because you're not in a clan group under a tree. That's what you're doing as a people, whether you realize it or not. That's what you're doing because you have brain disease and you're acting like primates in a jungle forest. Like to you, housing is a tree. That's why you're doing the rooming houses and the SROs, and you refuse to stop running them because you're the dominant. You're the dominant gorilla. That's why you're doing it. And you think that we shouldn't cook our own food. It's a pleasure to cook and feed people rather than giving us our own kitchen or a fire pit because of your brain disease. I just remember when they closed that grocery store and people showed up with tents to cook people food, how horrified I was. That was scary. Of course, I flipped out. And then people go, what the hell is wrong with this person? What the hell is wrong with this person? You're not closing our grocery stores and then popping up a tent and cooking our food and handing it in our mouth going, body of Christ. You're not doing that here. That's what's wrong with this person. What's wrong with this person is I know something about primate behavior and I can tell that you are doing that. It's part of brain disease and it becomes horrifying and disgusting. That's what's wrong with me. I don't know how much I got my. Oh, 88%. I think this one might be dead. I won't charge both of them at the same time just in case somebody ever steals it. I'm not losing both of my portable chargers in a clip. I never, ever, ever, I was saying this in a video, I never, ever, ever leave my phone somewhere to charge. Nope, that's why people have portable chargers. So if you have a phone, because I noticed someone plugging in a phone, clearly I'm not a thief. Um, you might want to get a portable charger, right? Because of that. Yeah, you just plug that in. You don't want someone to steal that, but it's not the same as your phone, right? And then you just plug your phone into a portable charger when you're not like when you don't have access to the library and stuff, or that you want to use your phone after the library closes if you're street homeless. Those are the types of things we need still. Blocks, cords, what they call them, power banks, Chromebooks, telephones. We still need tents, sleeping bags, all that because sometimes we actually, you know, pay to camp. We gotta get rid of these people in the tents, huh? It must be scary to some people at this point now, when where you're finally like getting exactly what's happening. Okay, where you think that there's some services that are going to be provided to us. Okay, and then now you can see how horrifyingly sick the people are that scream at us to that we can't be somewhere, to go into a shelter where you sit up in a chair all night until they suspend you by attacking you, or when you lay down or fall off the chair to the ground they call the police on you. um, yep, there's nothing that you can do because it would just make it worse. You just have to wait for the sentence to be carried out for treason and crimes against humanity. So I was hoping that we would, the people that were blocking all the social media and the communications would go in the landlords that are the people that won't give out the housing, like these people from Penrose Fair. Okay, so nobody's going to do anything to you people but wait. So I would expect that if you don't know it already, you probably have cancer or some other ailment um, along with the brain disease. I don't know, and I told you that about what's going on with the vouchers, but I could see because of the criminal activity, they can't give out housing vouchers anymore. They can't do it because it never gets to me, just like your COVID money. We cannot verify your identity. Ha 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 ha. Never got the 3,200 bucks. So didn't get the extra snap, didn't get the 3,200 bucks. How do you explain that when it was emergency cash that a completely destitute woman wasn't given? So it's pretty targeted and criminally deranged. Someone tried to say it's because we don't file taxes, so then the IRS had us file taxes and they still wouldn't issue us the money. Taxonomy for a species, and no, they're not doing it on purpose because clearly that's insane. They don't understand what they're doing, they just think they're psychopaths. They don't house me. Right. The people that are giving out housing don't have any DNA to house me. Like the DNA structures that look like those, what do they call it, a hexagram, like a house? They have no DNA structure to house me, like even in a mimicry, right? I explained it. It should make sense. Why would I birth a bunch of recycled human beings if people were just birthing humans and mimicry was still going on? Yeah, like they weren't sent to me to be like taught to be a human being. Only God does that. They come pre programmed. It's a species like a squirrel. There's still parenting that goes on, but they can recognize and reject incorrect parenting, just like I can. So, what's happened is because of the planned extinction by the Almighty, in my opinion, in wits, which is what I think. What I think, I don't have to actually prove. I mean, you can ask me how I came to that conclusion, but I don't have to present to you emails in wit. It's what I think. Um, what I think that seems to make logical sense to me in terms of if God's explaining it to me. Because if it's not true, then it was just me trying to think. If it's true, then it's God. That's what I told the psychiatrist, in case you don't think I talk to psychiatrists. It's one voice, and if it's right, it's him, and if it's not, it's not him. That would be me trying to think, or he's presenting opposing things that I'm supposed to ponder on and then reject. Um, that's called thinking. Yes, he is part of thinking. So, in order to help me change my thinking sometimes, or understand things, or just sort of like, it's kind of fun sometimes to actually think, to consider and ponder. So, my sort of like my understanding is that because of the planned extinction, mimicry couldn't continue to go on because the suffering is too great for my species to be in a mimicry anymore. Your species does not behave how it used to, okay, as it becomes more sort of programmed to burn the fuel and self terminate, and progressively become incapacitated in that process, where then you won't be able to burn fuel anymore, and your harm on others will be reduced in a natural process, like you going into retirement. So, in order to be able to do that work, you can't birth my species because it's too horrifying for them. Testimony galore from people that were in a mimicry and how difficult it was from 1971. And then you've got people that are younger than me where it got worse and worse. So the suffering is too great. Everybody's got ADHD and Asperger's and stuff because they drew drawings like Da Vinci, so they're sick. They're too focused on detailed drawing, so that's really horrifying. Um, they want to marry, right? They want to have all their children from one person, um, stuff like that. They're not into like all the drug use and the alcohol and this hatred of America, and why would you hate just this traditional family on a farm and traditional values? Why would you hate all that? It was fair. Yes, it was completely fair. That's how your system was set up. It was a completely fair system where people are born, they go to school, they get a paper route. I've explained this. They get a paper route, they play hopscotch, um, they do school sports, they do the choir, they decide if they're going to go the technical route, they become plumbers, electricians, police officers, not fire engines, firefighters, they go in the military. Um, you can get scholarships for college, you can work, you can take out loans. Um, you can, yeah, that's grants. Some people got straight out free college. And then you could go that route for like that type of a life. You could get married, you could produce children. Your husband made enough money to support you. You could put a down payment down on a house after a period of time of saving. You could get T bonds. Um, you could work at McDonald's while you're in high school and college. You could work at Disney when you're a homemaker or you're retired and then you get the free passes, or you're an exchange student. not you demanded to make enough money to live on working at Magic Kingdom. And you're not even sort of like talent. You're not like organize. You're not what's the word? You're not making the robotronics. And you're not doing a show. You're not one of the actors. That was a stepping stone for other things. It looked good on a resume. You worked for Disney, right? Not you made bank at the stroller rentals. So, right, you put a down payment on a house, you worked, you paid it off, then you retired, you lived in it, you left it to your children, or you sold it, you bought a Winnebago, you traveled, you went to the Grand Canyon, right? That's not you doing all that when you're 30. Well, someone decided that it was, yeah, someone taught a whole bunch of people a whole bunch of bad stuff. So sometimes we have to make up excuses for our own failures and rather than just explaining to your children. I really think that what you should do is stay in school, focus on your studies, don't worry about after school work because we don't really need you to help us pay for things and stuff like that. Um, and hopefully you don't get envious of your children when they excel in a system more than you did. Okay. So I heard some of this stuff from Tom Kent, like the rich have to be diabolical and stuff, because that's because he felt he didn't excel within the system, so there has to be a reason. He was very upset when he realized that everything he was taught by his parents was wrong about sort of like America and the Constitution. It's not really that, Tom. I'm sure God explained it to you. It's not really that. That stuff did all work at one time. It really did. And just something happened to you when you like to do the drafting and stuff, and maybe you got caught up in drugs and alcohol, and you refused to go to like psychotherapy because of your mother. Um, your father didn't know what to do about it. He set up a lot of safeguards for you, but it still didn't work. So you just got handed a bad sort of set of genetics, um, and then when you isolate yourself like that, then that's why it's good to like make yourself make appointments with therapists and stuff when you're depressed. Like some people hide from that. It's just easier to stay in what you're doing. Um, so, oh yeah, the news, and then I'm supposed to cook too. No one's in the chat now. Is the chat off? The other one, there was someone in it. It's probably the same person from before. So I assume it's not Jim O'Neill because the person didn't answer me. Okay. But I explained Rhode Island phone number. It's a question. That's all. When you do a weird sadistic act and it's in Orleans and stuff, yeah, you just go, "What was that?" Obviously, we would stay at a campground until the season ended, at least if we didn't have to pay. What else are we doing? Yeah, what else are we doing but hanging around Harvard? No idea. No idea. We were straight outside on the street, and then I went into a temporary shelter in June that was open for 8 weeks. The only thing that changed is that he had brain surgery, and then they said he couldn't just be released to the street like we were doing. That's all that's changed. Okay, so even at that point, there isn't something about why are these people not in housing? Why is this even going on? Okay, well, the population has brain disease, and you have a bunch of people that are criminally insane. Okay, so people are getting housing somehow. And yeah, some of these people are not actually, they weren't born in the United States of America. And because I don't know what they're doing, I don't say much about it, right? Because I don't know what they're doing, I don't say much about it. But I will say this, it's odd that they have children. They definitely shouldn't have children. But that doesn't mean we attack them. No, it's just I don't want to look at them or listen to them. Okay, just some people came here in the Dakar program and they drive, and then some people come here because they're running stores that people want. I don't know if they have children, but I don't know why they're still having children, other than they don't know what else to do with themselves. They got confused and thought that they were going to produce human beings here. No, right? So hopefully we can have that conversation again that we had in 2011, 12, and 13, where we had a brief dip in the birth rate, if you remember, because people were listening, and then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose in fear and stuff that people were actually listening to that. Primates would completely flip out at that. That would scare them that people weren't having children. They can't explain it. Why would you want people to continue to have children here? We have a overpopulated planet. Like it's just really weird, really, really weird. Like you're mad about all this other stuff, but you just keep thinking people just keep having children. Why? What are children doing? I don't know if that's generations of people that don't know what to do with themselves other than having children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. You need to find something else to do with yourselves. It's abusive. The whole entire country is messed up. You don't look around and watch a television and see what's going on. Why would you subject children to that? Right. And you've been told a million times about the thermonuclear weapons. Why would you produce children? Your ovum has been nuked. So the chances are getting greater and greater that these children are going to have malformations. You know that, right? Okay. And then what is that going to do for you? You want to be stuck with a deformed or a disabled child for the rest of your life? Yeah. What is that going to do for you? Are you going to get a social security check? How much money is it actually going to cost you to care for that child? I don't think it's worth a social security check. So that's called straight talk honesty. Just you've really got to stop producing children here. There are people on other land pieces doing that. You don't need to be doing it. This is the hottest country on planet Earth, your president told you. What do you think that means? Learn something about radiation, what body tissues are affected first, and about the generations, like the Chernobyl thing. You're told to watch this thing about Chernobyl, and then you just keep having children. Like that doesn't. No one on Earth has a boron shield around their ovaries, people. No one. That is not what the immunity is. I am not having children anymore. I'm 54 years old. I had tubal ligation. I'm in menopause. No one has a boron shield around their ovaries. I explained it to you. A safe zone was set up that's none of your business where it is, but it's not on this land piece. It's not on this land piece. No, it's not on the bird at all. Okay, so you got to stop it. Got to have a little faith in God. Why doesn't He make you sterile? I believe eventually He will when you don't flip out as primates, like stealing people's children, IVF, that thing where you're injecting the thing. Okay, because you're already doing it. So you would that would make you flip out if all of it. Say that you were told now all of a sudden that half of the United States of America is infertile, or like half of all pregnancies have to be aborted because of the mutations. What would you do? Would you remain calm about it? Because that is wit. That is my understanding. Because I wanted to know too, and my understanding was God doesn't do it yet because you would flip out. Like, it has to come to the point of acceptance before you, because you still don't accept it. It wouldn't matter when you say you accept it, you don't accept it. You actually don't believe you're in a mass extinction. You don't believe it. And you don't think it applies to you. So you have to get to a point where you can actually handle that information. And then God will reveal it to you, and suddenly your brain will understand it and think it. Logic is hidden from you because you're being contained. I wouldn't. If someone told me every child I birth was going to perish and I'd have to bury them, I wouldn't have any. So that's why I do, in a sense, feel bad. But it's like, apparently, you guys still would, maybe. You still would because you get those couple of years with them or something. Okay, well, that's your choice. Um, there can't be medical advances. I explained it the other night on Twitter, again, because you were told exactly what occurred in 2011, 2012, where your military was given an exact date given prophecy. Your military was given an exact date prophecy. Yes. Okay. So they know it. And then when that came to pass, they know it. You still, like, I say something and I can tell you don't believe me. Okay. I can tell you don't believe me. Your military was given an exact date prophecy by Almighty God, and then it happened. Okay. So um, the other night that they would uh, tweeting something on the Ron DeSantis Twitter, where I believe that for fun, for something to do, that they do a challenge where it's like a riddle. Have you ever heard of like word problems? Okay. And then you figure out what that is scientifically. And it was B cell antigen marker thing, something, and it's called like a CD19 pan, and they co-work with another thing. It was something about for the first time this organization, that organization, they're working together, da 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 for the panhandle. Okay, it's a thing that I quote thought, and then I looked it up, and it was right. That's how it works. Ding ding ding, end challenge. Well, because that means that a bunch of people probably submitted, like say you went to Harvard and Melissa was there because she founded the entire university, and she made up the challenge. Say she made up the challenge as the founder of Harvard, okay, and then they all submit stuff, and she does actually have conversations with me, but I don't know if she's yeah I wouldn't say she's telling me the answer though. And then ding ding ding, and then I come and then I explain what I what I thought it was with no education whatsoever. That's what it is. That's why it's Mary and used books. because she reads in the first few years at the shelter, just this book and that book and this book and that book. It's like she's a library in herself. So it's Marion Hughes books. Get it? Marion Hughes books. Yep. She would have to make up the challenge and not tell me the answer, but she would have to make up the challenge, right? And then the students try to figure it out. Maybe they don't say anything either, and then the fun game is here comes the gong, and then I say something something something, and they all laugh. They don't get angry, they don't get flipped out, they all laugh and go, oh my god, what? Because I obviously don't know what I'm talking about, like the words are sort of like fragmented and it's more like a question, like a pilot. I'm a pilot game fun. Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. You just go whoa. And then I reiterate to them that the only reason they are that intelligent is because of God, for whatever reason. But yes, that's the only reason you're that intelligent. As long as